Well, the Adam Schiff Show has begun. They're calling it the Impeachment Inquiry Hearings. And CNN, PMSNBC, and the rest of the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media that was predicting bombshells and overwhelming evidence, it's pretty much been a snooze fest. They're just kind of running these in the nursing homes this afternoon so that the patients take their afternoon nap. So let me really break this down for you, what's going on. You have a nerd, Adam Schiff brains, with those big Google eyes. He just looks like the kid that you knew in school that got picked on every day of his life, but he got to be like the hall monitor, the room monitor. It was his job if the teacher left the classroom for a couple of minutes to write down the names of anybody that talked, breathed, or did anything while the teacher was out of the room. And he just loved that stuff. Obviously he was the kid that used to get to go down the hallway and get the projector and bring it back to the classroom so they could watch a movie. I mean, he's just a nerd personified. This is Barney Fife, who now has a badge and a bullet. And all of a sudden now he's in this place of power. And behind closed doors, Nancy Botox Pelosi is not only tying one on, but she's got to be pulling the hairs of her wig out. I mean, just the absolute, this build-up, this lie. And you would think that at this point, even the mainstream media who hates Trump, how many times has Adam Schiff lied to them that he's got the evidence, he's got the goods, and he never, ever can produce it? Ever. And for weeks we've heard this buildup. It'll be overwhelming. It'll be shock and awe. The only shock and awe has come from the Republicans throwing things at Schiff that he is absolutely ill-prepared to deal with. As far as the questioning of these so-called witnesses, well, first of all, how do you call them witnesses? They didn't see or hear anything. In fact, the main star witness has never even one time talked to President Trump. He is giving us hearsay. So here's what we've got, and then I'll break it down. We've got one nerd, Adam Schiff, who is conducting an investigation using two other nerds as the main witnesses. And what is the beef of these other two nerds? Well, they're part of the intelligence community. And the proper protocol in Washington is the president is not allowed to be the president. He's not allowed to make foreign policy decisions, even though that is his job constitutionally, even though that's one of the reasons we elected him. These non-elected bureaucrats who, you would think that their flatulence doesn't smell, that they defecate marble, that when they speak, golden nuggets roll out of their mouth and onto the floor, because we don't know if they're Democrat, Republican. Well, we know, but we don't know where they're from. They're certainly not elected to be there, yet they are this entrenched like a tick on a hound dog, and they're just there. And for years, they have simply been the ones that the president has to run foreign policy by them. And how has that worked out for us? How many wars and proxy wars have we been involved in because of these deep state bureaucrats, part of this industrial military complex, have been the ones to set the foreign policy? Here comes a president who's not part of the system. He's not part of the skull and crossbones. He's not part of the Washington insider establishment. Here he comes, actually thinking that he has the constitutional authority to set foreign policy. And he does, without any help from them. And they are absolutely hacked about it. They are ticked and they are ripped. And this is all about a bunch of nerds whining and crying that they have been eliminated from their place of relevance and importance. All of a sudden, Donald Trump is the proverbial bully kicking sand in their face at the beach. And they don't know how to fight back. So they got to impeach him. He's got to go. Notice they have done nothing to present any type of evidence that rises to what the Constitution calls for an impeachment to happen. High crimes and misdemeanors. Where are they? Where are they? I mean, it's unbelievable. It's the fact they don't like the way he handled the foreign policy. And this whole business that he was withholding help from Ukraine, no. It was Barack Obama for her 8 years gave nothing to Ukraine. It was while Barack Obama was president that Russia came back in and seized Crimea. It was while Barack Obama was in the Oval Office doing nothing but talking tough to Putin, that Russia was in process of taking Ukraine back. It was Donald Trump who gave them weapons, Donald Trump who gave them missiles. Remember, Obama, he took away all their missiles. He took away all of Ukraine's defenses. And Joe Biden took away all their money. Even after they gave in to his quid pro quo, they still didn't get their $1 billion in aid. So let me get this straight. Hunter Biden fleecing the country for about $80,000 a month to sit on a board of a company he knew nothing about, was being investigated. Biden put pressure to fire the investigator, and they'd get no aid. They fire the investigator, and Biden and Obama still don't give Ukraine any aid. Trump has given them aid, but yet somehow he's done something that he's got to be impeached. Well, the nerd show was on full display today, and Adam Schiff right out the gate after he bored everybody. Let me just say, for all of the hype that PMSNBC and CNN, which is Airport Terminal TV, and even to a certain degree some of the pundits on Faux Pas News, formerly known as Fox News, I can tell you, I have been in radio and as a preacher, I can tell you, if you don't grab your audience in the first few seconds, you've lost them. And I am sure that whatever ratings they had, people were turning the dial. Now, there are rabid conservatives watching, conservative pundits watching, rabid liberals watching, but as far as the vast majority of Americans, they are working, they are busy, and they certainly don't have time to watch our tax dollars being wasted on yet another nonsense witch hunt. There were no wows, nothing for CNN to twist. Now, that doesn't mean that later tonight they won't. They certainly will try, but they didn't do any shock and awe. But the Republicans came out swinging.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order under HRES 660.
Gentlewoman will state her point of order.
Mr. Chairman, will you be prohibiting witnesses from answering members' questions as you have in the closed-door depositions?
As the gentlewoman should know if she was present for the deposition.
Which I was, Mr.
For
Chairman.
some of them, yes.
Correct.
The only times I prevented witnesses from answering questions, along with their counsel, was when it was apparent that members were seeking to out the whistleblower. We will do everything necessary to protect the whistleblower's identity.
I love that. Are we going to be allowed to ask questions? You were allowed to ask questions. The questions that I said you could ask, you could ask. There's Adam Schiff for brains. Now, surprisingly, he acted a little shocked that Republicans started to push back on points of order. Gee, that's funny. When Democrats have been the minority party and we've had to go through these things, they will waste hours with points of order. But she brings up a good point. Are we going to talk about the whistleblower or not? Absolutely not. His name is not to be mentioned, and I will deal harshly with any Republicans that do. Okay, so then that leads to the next logical question. All right, if we can't interview him out here in the public, can we do this privately?
Mr. Conaway, do you seek recognition for what purpose?
I seek recognition to make a motion that we actually subpoena the whistleblower for a closed-door, secret deposition, so that the questions that should be appropriately asked the whistleblower by our side and your side may be asked. And I would prefer that rather than it be your single decision, that the committee speak to that issue rather than just the chairman. And I move that we...
I thank the gentleman. It won't be my single decision.
Subpoena the whistleblower.
It won't be my single decision. We will entertain a motion to subpoena any witness, but after the witnesses have had an opportunity to testify.
Adam Schiff, proving what an absolute little nerdlet he is. I'll think about it. It'll be up to me. It'll be up to me. And it isn't just me that makes this decision, though. Yeah, it is. He has set himself up as judge, jury, and executioner. This is the Adam Schiff Show. This is not an impeachment inquiry. This is the Adam Schiff Show. And he's basically saying, look, you're not going to know who the whistleblower is, because it's him. See, this is an entire lie cooked up by Adam Schiff based on hearsay things that he got from some of these people. Oh, the president's talking to Ukraine, and we're not allowed to listen in, and we don't know what's going on, and we know that he's putting the shakedown on him. So Schiff comes out with this fictionalized account of supposedly what happened, and Donald Trump yanked the rug out from under him by releasing the transcript of the phone call. Boom. Game, set, match. But Nancy, to try to save some face, lets Schiff have this impeachment inquiry, and he sits there again like that little nerd in school that all you ever wanted to do was pop his head like a zit, and now he's in charge of the classroom. Teacher said, and he's just sitting there like a little nerd. You're out of order. You're not allowed to talk now. Only I get to decide when you get to talk. So finally, Jim Jordan pushed back.
Do you anticipate when we would vote on that?
What purpose does Mr. Jordan seek recognition?
Just to ask a clarifying question, do you anticipate when we might vote on the ability to have the whistleblower in front of us, something you, of the 435 members of Congress, you are the only member who knows who that individual is, and your staff is the only staff of any member of Congress who's had a chance to talk with that individual. We would like that opportunity. When might that happen in this proceeding today?
First, as the gentleman knows, that's a false statement. I do not know the identity of the whistleblower, and
That is an outright lie. Adam Schiff does know who the whistleblower is. He's talked to the whistleblower. His staff has interviewed the whistleblower. We have the email chain to prove it. So Schiff walked himself right into a perjury trap. Boom. I don't know who it is. Really? Then how are you going to punish anybody if his name gets released? If one of the Republicans mentions the whistleblower's name, how are you going to shut the hearing down and deal severely and harshly and whatever else it is that you're threatening to do? How would you punish them if you don't know who it is? Yeah. Methinks thou doth lie, Mr. Schiff. In fact, we know you're lying. Everything else is just a bunch of smoke and mirrors, and again, the Republicans are pushing back with points of order. Good for them. Devin Nunes, Jim Jordan, they are going to just eat these people alive when they're actually allowed to ask a question. We'll have more on this, I can guarantee. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Smack the bell so that you get notifications. In theory, we know that YouTube right now is purging us and, basically, they're not going to tell you, but hey, do it anyway. Smack the bell. But check back here every day. Pastor Marty, that's the channel. Pastor Marty, check it every day. We post new videos daily.